You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
You know, there's a meme online that talks about the sad thing is that as an adult, nobody asks us what our favorite dinosaur is anymore. And I think it's a very true one. It's a very true meme in that we don't think about the simple things in life anymore. We don't think about the things that we appreciate or the things that just are cool. You know, mine's a Triceratops. I love Triceratops. They're awesome. They got that little hat-like armor thing. They got the 3 horns, but they're not very aggressive. They're actually, I believe they're herbivores, but they don't look like herbivores, don't they? They look like they could kick your ass. That's what I like about Triceratops. And I think the world would be a better place if we asked people those questions.
Dan, can I show you my favorite dinosaur?
I have a feeling we're not allowed with our rating system here. So
It's the Recap Rex.
Okay. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Triple B is correct. I wasn't supposed to be here today. I am Dante, and you guys were going to end up with Randall, but I don't want you to miss out on Randall, so bring in Kyle.
I'm not Randall. I'm at the very least I'm Elias, okay?
You're totally Randall.
You're absolutely Randall. Yep.
I'm not Randall. I don't work next door.
You're just going to have to deal with it. You're not as funny as Randall, but you've got the attitude.
I'm at least Elias or that new guy they brought in for Clerks 3 that's also not Randall.
You might be the guy trying to sell cigarettes.
Can I just be Ming Chen and just be listed as hockey player? I don't have to have a named character. I could just be a guy that they pay to show up one day, but with like beer and hot wings.
I am curious if you saw the ad I made
for today's for the merch store.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
That was fun.
By the way, Recap Rex merch coming after New Year's.
All righty. So hey Ed, hey Triple B says he's Brody. There you go.
You can have.
I'm actually the Asian design major.
I think that makes Jay Amy.
Maybe I'm just one of the Dante's relatives, because you know that he plays Dante Hicks, and then he plays Gus Hicks in Mallrats, and he plays a different Hicks. So every time he's there, he's one of his own relatives.
Well, you know what? I think that makes Nick the Leonardos from the animated series. The people who own the city of Leonardo.
I love that.
I think that's the answer.
There you go.
Especially because it's a city in New Jersey, and Nick is New Jersey, apparently.
He is. Nick is as New Jersey as you get. You know, he could easily be in The Sopranos.
It's true. It's very true. I think I'm gonna have to hold my microphone the whole show because I didn't bring adequate stand.
So I think next time I see Nick, I'm gonna have the A3 song "Woke This Morning" on my phone and just follow him around with it.
I was gonna say you're gonna have "Hey Leonardo" by Blessed Union of Souls.
No, I think A3. I'm a big fan of Alabama 3 anyway. So
that's fair. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
They're almost as good as the other band with 3 in their name, Timbuk 3.
Future so bright, I gotta wear shades.
It's true.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we are just gonna chat today. I got a couple topics I can throw out there.
I had one too, so we got enough to cover an hour.
Yeah. The first one I want to throw out there is an announcement that came out yesterday that the amazing Patti LuPone, singer extraordinaire, is joining the Marvel frickin' universe in Agatha Coven of Chaos. And it's kind of a two-part question. The first is not one I actually want to discuss, but I'm starting to think that maybe it's going to be a musical, because we know that Kevin Feige loves musicals. He wanted to do a musical, and he did Steve Rogers the musical. So maybe it's going to be an all-sung episode. It's going to be like Glee, and all of their magic is going to have to be sung, which I could totally see them doing. But the point I want to debate is, are we at a point where, I mean, we hear so many directors coming out saying, oh, this isn't really cinema. This is just, garbage, and, all these bashing things. But you get these Oscar, Emmy, Olivier award winners suddenly joining the MCU. Harrison Ford is now part of the MCU. Robert Redford. I mean, William Hurt was part of the MCU. We're getting a lot of these huge named actors showing up in roles. Why are directors so disrespectful, but actors are jumping in?
The directors who, this is my opinion, the directors who bash superhero movies are the directors who would make terrible superhero movies. Right? Quentin Tarantino could not make a superhero movie. Could he maybe take a pass at a street level hero?
Yeah.
Maybe. But even then, I don't think he would understand power structure.
Mm-hmm.
The people who don't like superhero movies are the people who can't. Well, we know part of it, but
just think about a Martin Scorsese Punisher film.
But that's a street level hero. Punisher has no real powers.
Right.
That's just an action movie. Like,
well, you lean into what you make.
Sure, but you do. The guys who are bashing it are the guys who. How many Punisher movies can you make? Can you have a Tarantino and a Scorsese and a?
I don't think I'd give Scorsese. I don't think I'd give Tarantino Punisher. There's probably a better character like Madcap.
Well, I think Tarantino would do good with a Daredevil
or Fool Killer.
Right.
Tarantino doing Fool Killer would be awesome.
But these are guys that just can't swing it. That's who it is. And by the way, they're these guys who go out and make these art house movies, even with big budget art house movies. Tarantino's movies are high budget art house. Right? They're movies that I would make if I had that kind of money.
But would you have said that about James Gunn before Guardians of the Galaxy? Would you have said the same thing about Taika Waititi before Thor Ragnarok?
I say the same thing about Taika Waititi now.
Fair enough. Ragnarok was great. Love and Thunder.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that those guys, they rush out to make these movies that are, I'm making an art movie. Okay, well, how about making a movie that makes some money?
Yeah.
Right? That's the other thing is it's you can rush to be an artist or you can rush to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be both. And you can be, but like not in the same way. Wes Anderson is wildly successful making art house movies.
Yes, but Wes Anderson's X-Men would just be Umbrella Academy.
Correct. But he's wildly successful doing what he does. he's not playing the same game as James Gunn.
Yeah.
Right? I watched last night. I watched a special on CBS, tribute to Paul Simon.
Okay.
Ladysmith Black Mambazo is wildly successful for a band made up of African singers that's non-instrumentalists and are almost solely a cappella.
Uh-huh.
Wildly successful. They led into Garth Brooks, who has achieved a level of success they could so far beyond, right?
Okay.
That it's not even playing the same game anymore. So right. Tarantino and all of these guys, Francis Ford Coppola or whoever the hell, they're not playing the same game anymore. They want to make little movies for big budget with 6 guys, all of them named James Caan, and eat pasta in the Italian Riviera. That's all they want to do. So it's they can badmouth it all they want, but that'd be like me saying the NFL sucks because I can't play in it.
But is it that, or is it that no one's knocking on their door? And these are the movies that people are going to see. Everybody's like, oh, this superhero thing is going to end soon. And but they're still the ones bringing in the money. If you ask somebody who owns a movie theater, they love superhero movies because that's what's keeping them in business, and Marvel, Kevin Feige's not knocking on Martin Scorsese's door. He's going to these little guys who are coming up, so maybe it's a little bit of jealousy is that, they put out The Departed and Marvel puts out Captain America Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier beats the crap out of Departed.
Well, these are the guys who, how do I equate this? They're the Everly Brothers when the Beatles have hit. They're
Faster Pussycat when Guns N' Roses releases the album on the same day.
No, they're Faster Pussycat when Nirvana is out.
Now, see, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I don't think they're that different.
They're not. They're both. That's what I'm saying. They're not that different.
Yeah.
They're both rock bands. They're just playing different kinds of rock.
Yeah.
Right. And so the fans of things like The Departed are always going to go see The Departed. So it's they used to play arenas. Now they're playing theaters while somebody else is playing arenas. They're not less successful. They're just successful. Their scale has changed.
Yeah. But you got somebody like James Cameron, who's kind of downplaying Marvel movies and stuff.
Well, it's because James Cameron doesn't want to get called out for not solving world hunger.
But isn't Avatar just basically the same thing?
I refuse to acknowledge the existence of James Cameron films until James Cameron acknowledges that he spent so much money on his 3 big movies that even with the enormous amounts they've made, he still lost money.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, between Titanic, Avatar, and Avatar 2, James Cameron could have solved world hunger instead of making 3 average movies. Also, I know that buoyancy is a thing, but they could have fit 3 people in that stupid door in Titanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do think that there's...
I was about to say something that would probably get me in trouble, so ask me after the show. About buoyancy in that particular setup.
As a person who has his own buoyancy issues, I recognize the problems. No, but the reality of it is this: there's people who want things to be the way they always were, because when they were that way, their own relevance was higher, right? I keep hitting my laptop. I apologize. The internet. Martin Scorsese is not the director he used to be. He's old, he's wealthy, he's all of this kind of stuff. And the only way that he gets to keep the same level of success he always had is if the movie industry operates the same way it always did. The second someone comes in and shakes it up, Martin Scorsese has to come out and say, well, that's no good. First time an Oscar movie gets shot on an iPhone, all of those classic directors are going to go, well, you can't make movies that way. You have to have 6 guys to operate a camera and 3 guys to change the film.
Oh, yeah.
It's Cecil B. DeMille got replaced by the next guy up. Got replaced by the next guy up. Got replaced by the next guy up. Martin Scorsese has been outpaced by the Russo brothers.
So it has nothing to do with it actually. You don't believe it has anything to do with it actually being superhero movies. It just has to be those are what's popular and it's not what these guys make.
Right. If people were still flocking to the movie theaters to see gangster movies, Marty Scorsese would still be relevant. If people were still flocking to the theaters to see really dry humor, Woody Allen would still be relevant. But instead, people want to see gut or knee slappers, so Kevin Hart's the guy. People want to see action movies with actual action instead of a lot of sitting around talking over spaghetti and then a gunfight. So superhero movies win. Am I overgeneralizing? Sure.
Yeah.
But it's here's an even better example. It's why Band of Brothers does well on HBO, but would never play in a movie theater.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
It's why a show like Yellowstone is doing so phenomenally well on Paramount Plus and Paramount, but it could never play on CBS. You have to take these things and put them where the people who want to see them are.
I understand your example, but I think you made a bad example there because you put Kevin Costner on a series on CBS, you have every old person watching it,
Sure.
no matter what the subject is.
But the series isn't really for old people.
No, but it's an old person. It's like you could cast Mark Harmon, and everybody is going to watch it on CBS.
Because Mark Harmon's a national treasure, Dan.
So that's my point. But see, I was about to go into a different.
You're right, though. You're right. It was a bad example, but it's why Taylor Sheridan's success won't translate to the big screen.
Yeah. No, and I can see that, and it's kind of like Greg Berlanti. Greg Berlanti can crank out shows, but keep him away from movies. Green Lantern.
Correct.
Because what Greg Berlanti does is he makes superhero sitcoms. I am not superhero soap operas, which works on TV, doesn't work in the movies.
Right.
But see, that's the other thing is that they get on superhero movies and then comic book movies and comic book adaptations like, oh, this is all going to bust. And people kind of look at it. Everything is they're comic books, but I look at what are the other popular series right now? The One Ring, The Witcher, Jack Ryan, which just started up again this week, Jack Reacher. They're doing an Alex Cross series with Aldous Hodge, and you can go down the list. And the only difference between these TV series and WandaVision is the medium that they're adapting, because all of those are novel series, and we've been adapting novel series and novel movies forever since Dracula. Technically I think Dracula was an adaptation of the play from the novel, but so the fact that superhero movies and comic book movies are getting this bashing right now, it sounds more like jealousy to me.
And that's part of it. And the thing about it is that's why, and I think it's why a Patti LuPone or a Kevin Kline, or some of these guys have moved into this superhero genre. Martin Freeman, some of these big, serious, heavy actors who got their start in theater.
Yeah.
Broadway and the West End and theater has always been kind of the ugly cousin of cinema. Well, if there's an ugly cousin in cinema, the ugly cousins of cinema are going to join it. So you're going to get these brilliant actors, Benedict Cumberbatch, David Tennant, all of these guys who are going to come and play in the superhero universe because it's that or play Sweeney Todd. And they're both equally fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you compared the West End or the theater people to look at the CW, look at the Flash and those shows. They would do musical episodes because they almost had to, because everybody on the frickin' show could sing their ass off.
Well, Flash. You had Jesse L. Martin, who, was in the original cast of Rent and did so much on Broadway. You had Victor Garber, who's done, my God, more Broadway than you could shake a stick at. You had all these young and up-and-coming actors who had done Broadway or done Canadian.
Glee. They were on Glee.
Right. Yeah, and then you have, like...
John Barrowman.
John Barrowman is a great example of that. There's all of these people in that universe who come from that background. And when you think about it, all actors start there. They start doing community theater. They start doing school plays. They start doing that. And then they abandon it because, well, I'm going to go do this. Very few actors don't discover it until college or someplace where they can avoid doing the singing and dancing.
Yeah.
So
Aldous Hodge talks about when he worked on Die Hard 2, Die Harder, he talked to Samuel L. Jackson. And Samuel L. Jackson gave him one piece of advice, and he was a 7 or 9 year old kid. Yeah, we're live, Rich. As this young kid, Samuel L. Jackson said, "Do theater. Go do theater," and he did. And now Aldous Hodge is starting to blow up. He has Leverage. He has Black Adam. He's going to be doing the. He did City on the Hill. He's going to be doing the Alex Cross series. So, all right.
Miss Jen just texted me that their power went out.
Oh.
So it's going to be interesting for them to have a show after ours.
Okay. I was going to say they could do it by candlelight, but you can't run a computer that way, and I don't think they have enough hamsters to run the computers.
And I wouldn't want a candle to be near the comics anyway.
All right, guys, let's take our first break. Trivia question. Let me give you a trivia question, just see if you guys are paying attention. Which arch enemy of Spider-Man has created chemicals that interfere with his spider sense? Which arch enemy of Spider-Man has created chemicals that interfere with his spider sense? We'll get the answer when we get back. Stick around.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Did you know that across America there are over 2, maybe even 3 live stream producers who can't even afford Mountain Dew? Take Brian here. Brian has gone 2 weeks without a sip of Red Bull. If it goes on much longer, he may take a shower and get a real job. Situations like this are as tragic as they are preventable. Join the experience on YouTube and gain access to special emojis and members-only streams. For less than a cup of coffee, you can keep socially awkward hermit people working from their parents' basements where they belong. Scan the QR code on the screen to join. You'll be glad you did.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We're just doing a chat day with Kyle. The answer to the trivia question, Ed, no, it is not Green Goblin. Green Goblin doesn't affect Spider-Man's spider sense because he considered him a friend, you know? So, no, the answer to the question is Mysterio.
Gumby.
What?
Gumby.
Nope, Mysterio. All right. We're going to move on to another topic, still within the Marvel range. Charlie Cox is talking about the upcoming Daredevil Born Again series. And there's some great quotes out of this. One thing is he said they called him up and said, okay, we're going to be shooting in 2023. And he said, great, when? He said all of 2023. Because he's going to start shooting in February and finish in December. Remember, this is going to be a very long series. But he's talking about, he says, it's not going to be the same Matt Murdock and Daredevil. This is going to be a reincarnation. He says it has to be different. Otherwise, why are we doing it? He says, in my opinion, the character works best when he's geared towards a slightly more mature audience. My instinct is that on Disney Plus, it'll be dark, but probably won't be as gory. I would say to those people, we've done that. Let's take the things that really worked, but can we broaden it? Can we appeal to a slightly younger audience without losing what we learned about what works? Now, there's a lot of people out there that think that the Daredevil series on Netflix may have been one of the best comic book adaptations. And I loved it. I will tell you, I did love it. I was a big fan of the series. I'm happy that Marvel finds a way to keep the actors without necessarily keeping the continuity. James Gunn. But what do you think, Kyle? Do you think that Daredevil needs to be dark and gritty as Netflix? Can they do a lighter version without, not a light version, not comedic version like he was in She-Hulk, but more of a little more general audience one and still get away with it?
Stiltman or Riot? That's my answer.
Yes, but Stiltman, the original Stiltman, or when Turk took the costume?
That's a good question, Dan.
Yeah. And we need Rob Moran to come with Charlie Cox into the MCU as Turk.
That's fair. I want Daredevil to be pre-Frank Miller Daredevil.
Hanging around with Black Widow.
If you're gonna bring it to Disney Plus, and you're going to reset whatever you're resetting, right? You're going to come in and play whatever game you're going to play with what existed and what worked at Netflix. You've got to, in my opinion, differentiate in a much bigger way. If you make a dark and gritty show, even if you make it less gory, it's still going to feel like the Netflix show. And the question will be, why isn't this just on Netflix? Right now, you're taking away from the show you're making and reminding people of the economics of the thing. Right? Because if they're just going to make a dark and gritty show, they could have made that at Netflix. Marvel could have said, hey, we're going to recall our contract unless you make it this way. Right? Marvel could have given Netflix some instruction. There's all kinds of options, so they have to go the other way. So here's what I think they should do. Okay? A musical episode.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I really do think they should go back to some of that yellow suit. Start with the yellow suit.
Well, they have.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, start where that was at and where they showed that before.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of go in that same progression that they went in, so that maybe at the end of season 1, you're getting to the Frank Miller of it all.
See, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I don't see there being a huge differentiation between the Daredevil we got in She-Hulk and the Daredevil we had on Netflix. And to answer the question of why move things from Netflix to Disney Plus, because Disney owns Disney Plus, they don't own Netflix. That's the only reason you need. You could continue doing the exact same thing. It was very popular. People loved it. Why not? It's the same reason when you moved Lucifer from Fox to Netflix, you just kept it going because that's what people wanted. But the thing is that Daredevil always has had a sense of humor. I think the only thing you got to do to tone it down for Disney Plus is maybe just tweak the blood level a little bit, the gore level. Like the fight between him and Kingpin at the end of season 3, where blood was flying all over the place. You could tone that down a little bit, but you could do it without changing it. Just it's how much you show in camera and how much is shown off camera.
Here's my other thought. I don't want Charlie Cox to ever put the suit on. Do start with the Chip Zdarsky story they just told. Daredevil's in prison. Elektra has taken over the helm. All of this, do that kind of story. And then you can go and do flashbacks, right? You can lead to how they got to where they are, and then pick up from there. Right? Don't just be like, okay, Charlie Cox is back as Daredevil. We're going to make a Daredevil show, and we're going to expect you to just accept the differences, because people aren't going to do that.
See, I, again, totally disagree. First thing, anytime somebody says we should adapt and they talk about a series that came, something that came out in the last 10 years, I want to smack them. Just literally smack them. Because we've got 70, 80 years worth of amazing comics that could be adapted, and they want to move up and do the stuff that's going on right now in the comics, and people don't care about that.
I think Robinstein's not wrong. If they change too much, people complain. But if they change too little, people will complain. This is a lose-lose process for Disney Plus.
No, I think they could use Daredevil as kind of a home for the fact that it's this big series, it's bigger than anything else Marvel has done. To me, this is going to be the home for the street level, for the New York street level people. And it's going to be where you might see Spider-Man pop up. You're going to see the other Netflix characters like Luke Cage and Iron Fist. that's where you're going to see these street level characters. It's going to become kind of the central hub, and you're going to get multiple stories from it. I don't think there's going to be a single overarching arc. I think Jessica Jones will pop back up.
See, and that's
Echo, stuff like
that plays into my other problem, right? Then don't call it Daredevil.
But that's the character's name, and it is the center of his show.
But it's not a Daredevil show then. It's a Marvel's New York show.
But wait a minute. If you read Daredevil, and you talked about going back before Frank Miller, Daredevil was a series that had constant guest stars. Black Widow was the co-star for a long time. Spider-Man popped up. Human Torch popped up. You know, I mean, in the first few episodes, you got Submariner, you had the Fantastic Four, you had all these characters popping up. That is the basis for the series that you're talking to adapt. The only difference between what they did then and what they did with Frank Miller is that Frank Miller made all the guest stars ninjas.
Right. And that's the big thing I don't want. No more ninjas.
And I'm totally okay with that. We could leave Elektra on the sideline for a while. We could. You know.
Here's my problem, Dan, and this is really it. There needs to be a bigger differentiation between Netflix's Daredevil and Disney Plus's Daredevil, and it's not hard for them to do because they've built Kate Bishop, they've built She-Hulk, they've built all these other characters to exist. So why start with Daredevil? Why not do I can't even think of a series that they were all in together, but do something that kind of builds a world in Manhattan.
Defenders.
With all of those characters. Yeah, do a Defender series.
Because I think
and then you can spin out whatever you want from there. But if you say this is a Daredevil show, the normies who don't know anything are going to expect it to be a Daredevil show. And Daredevil is nothing if not a team, or Daredevil is nothing if not, this idea of cameos and,
okay. I completely disagree, because the normies, as you call them, have been birthed not on comic books, but they've been birthed on Arrow and Flash, where it was the Flash, but he had an entire team of heroes with him. Arrow had an entire team of people with him, even though it was named just the one show. So I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that, because that's what they expect when it comes to a superhero TV show.
You asked my opinion, and I didn't like those shows that much.
No, but a lot of people.
I'm going to hate this Daredevil show.
And maybe they're not making it for you.
Right. Well, that's the problem. You ask my opinion. I want a show that's made for me. I don't care about other people.
Yeah, but you hate most of the stuff that's out there anyway.
Correct.
I mean, your favorite movies were what? Shazam, Wakanda Forever, Shazam, and Black Adam.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know anybody else who would put those as their top 3 movies, other than The Rock. But I think he put Black Adam first.
If I'll be honest, if I was The Rock, I would put Black Adam first.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth of it is, though, is that my opinion, and this is why they won't give me the job of running these things, right? My opinion is not what's best for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is always about what's best for these characters that that have been held so dear for so many years. The reason I like Black Panther Wakanda Forever is that it was an honest adaptation and an honest look at what those characters were going through in a world where T'Challa didn't exist. Right? They didn't try and do too much with the characters. They didn't try and do too little with the characters. They just made the movie. Shazam is a true representation of what the original Captain Marvel Shazam was. They didn't try and turn Billy Batson into a super genius or some other garbage that they could have done to make the character more palatable as a superhero. They didn't take Black Adam and try and give him depth. The character lacks depth. They had to give the depth in other places.
Yes.
And they did right by the characters. And that's what I care about. I think to make a show where you're going to tell a Daredevil story and essentially have to convince people that the Daredevil they knew still exists, but exists in this different world with all these other characters that didn't exist before, without building that world first, is a mistake. You're doing a disservice to Daredevil. You're doing a disservice to all the other characters. Now, is it the show they should make if they want to make a lot of money? No. Is it the show they should make if they want to grow their subscribership? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But very much in the way we talked about Martin Scorsese, I have a very narrow view of what I think these things should be.
And I get that, because I think that's the big difference between you and I when we do these discussions, is I look at it from a business standpoint and what's going to be good for the general audience, for the biggest audience possible. And you look at, well, what's going to please me? You know, it's like, I get what James Gunn is doing, but I would prefer if Henry Cavill was still Superman, because I liked Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill.
And I could care less about Henry Cavill so long as you tell me a good Superman story.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, we need to take our second break. I'll throw another trivia question out there. True or false? Moondragon is the daughter of Ronan the Accuser. We'll be right back.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP. Go follow the Experience on TikTok at @the_EXP1 or scan the QR code on the screen. Our TikTok is like everywhere else we are, except you only have to deal with us for a minute. Seems like a win-win to me.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We're having a chat day with Kyle. I did ask a trivia question before we went to break, and John got it correct. Moondragon is not the daughter of Ronan the Accuser. She is the daughter of Drax the Destroyer. At least
is her brother's name Dweezil?
No. nor is it Ahmed.
I appreciate that you got that joke, Dan.
I do. Actually, I know Ahmed, so that's why I get the joke.
I love the Zappas. Just throwing that out there.
I do. It was funny. Side story, since we're going to go a little long today because stuff. I went to go see Matchbox 20 in concert in Anaheim, California, many years ago now. And I was having lunch or having dinner beforehand, just around the corner from the venue. It was the Anaheim Pond. And I'm sitting there with Lisa, and we're having dinner. And I see this guy over, and I'm like, I think that's Ahmed Zappa. And her response, classic, who the hell is Ahmed Zappa? So I had to explain who Ahmed Zappa was, how I'd known him from TV, stuff like that. So we get into the concert, and we're listening to it. I'm a big Matchbox 20 fan. Love the show. Train opened for them. Great show. Rob Thomas takes a break, and instead of having one of the other band members sing one of their songs, they do covers whenever Rob Thomas would step off stage. Well, at one point, they do a cover of Feel Like Making Love. But instead of having one of the band members sing it, Ahmed Zappa comes out and sing it. So I see Ahmed Zappa perform this. Well, about 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, my buddy Christian has me come into Disney to pitch comics to this little company being set up on the Disney lot to do comic books. It was him and Ahmed Zappa. Oh, I'm sorry. Christian is now her or they, but so I go in and meet with them, and I'm talking to Ahmed Zappa, and as we're going through this stuff, we're having this conversation, and I said, by the way, and I got to tell him that I saw him do the performance, and he was like, oh my God, I've never met anybody who was in the audience for that show. How was I?
I have it saved on my TikTok. I really want, there's this clip going around of Frank talking about his ability to play the guitar.
Uh-huh.
And how his ability to play the guitar really has nothing to do with the way the guitar is supposed to be played. It's a great little clip, and it really does describe what my job is here at the Experience. You know, I'm an executive producer and creative director, but that has very little to do with executive producing or creative directing anything.
Yep.
So,
okay. I have
real quick, Dan, so people can understand what's going on. Miss Jen just texted us. They are without power until about 7:15 local time. They're in Texas. Power may be on earlier, may not. So Dan and I are going to go a little bit long. Try to fill in some of that time. They're going to try and come back when they can, if they can at all. But we're just going to go until we run out of stuff to talk about, and then we'll wrap up.
Yep. I got 2 more topics.
And I have one too, so we can.
Okay. Well, let's go to yours.
Okay. So there was a court ruling today.
I think it's the same topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That studios can be held responsible.
Yep.
For false advertising in trailers.
Yeah, I got the judge's ruling here, or what he said.
All right. I haven't read that. I just read the headline. I'm like, oh, Dan and I can tear into this.
Yeah, District Judge Stephen Wilson said, Universal is the company. This all stems from the Danny Boyle film Yesterday, where in the trailer we see Ana de Armas, who is a growing huge star at this point. And she was in the trailer, but Danny Boyle decided that the movie didn't work with her character and subplot in it, so she was cut basically from the movie. But they didn't cut her from the trailers. So people got together and decided to sue because they went to go see this movie with Ana de Armas in it, and she wasn't in it. So what the judge said is Universal is correct that trailers involve some creativity and editorial discretion, but this creativity does not outweigh the commercial nature of a trailer. At its core, a trailer is an advertisement designed to sell a movie by providing consumers with a preview of the movie. Now, there's more going on here, but basically they're suing for $5 million. So the question becomes, do you have to, what do you do? Is it false advertising? And I think that's the gist of it. Is it false advertising? And is it as extreme? I mean, where do we draw the line after that point? If and William just brought up what I was going to say, if Ana de Armas being trimmed out of it is false advertising, then is Marvel in trouble for Avengers Endgame, where they show Avengers Infinity War, where they show the clip of the Hulk running with the team and he's never in it. So Kyle, you're mute.
Sorry, I had to reposition myself here. It's way less comfortable doing this at home than it is at the office, ironically. So I think there's two things that are important to remember here. One is the importance of creative liberty in a film, right? A director shouldn't, because a trailer has to come out, have to leave a story in a movie that makes it worse. But the other thing is that we as consumers have to remember that we are consuming someone's ideas rather than a recipe, right? So these people got angry that they went and saw a movie that they didn't particularly care for because this actress that they liked was in it. Okay, I can understand the anger, because if I order a steak dinner and it shows up as chicken, I'm going to be frustrated.
Yes.
That said, if I say I'll have whatever the cook recommends and he sends me steak and I'm mad it's chicken, I don't have a leg to stand on. So when you go see a movie, you have to remember that the director is at some point still coming up with ideas, is still trying to figure out what he wants it to be, oftentimes after the studio has required him to put out a trailer. How often do we get a teaser trailer with 6 seconds of something in it just because, well, we have to have a trailer out by this day in order to get the marketing going, because, well, if we don't have it out by this day, we'll miss the holiday shipping season and we won't be able to sell action figures to, the business of entertainment oftentimes operates at a detriment to actual entertainment. Right? I mean, it seems to me that I can't be entertained if I know everything because of the trailer. I don't mind when Marvel does those, when Marvel has done those in the past, where we're putting scenes in the trailer that aren't in the movie just to throw you off. Because then I go into a movie and I go, hey, wait, I thought this was going to be X thing and it's not. And I think that's a good thing.
Now, see, I think there's a lot of differences here we have to talk about. First things first, when a trailer is made, it's usually given to a third-party company to edit together. They're given the footage, they piece it together, and they don't necessarily know what is and isn't going to be in the film. The film's being cut still. That said, I think there is a huge difference between what happened with yesterday and what happened with Avengers Infinity War. Because Avengers Infinity War, they cut a scene of the Hulk out of a running scene. So then you have to ask yourself, is Mark Ruffalo still in the movie? Yes. Is the Hulk still in the movie? Yeah, he does appear in the beginning. He fights Thanos. So even though he's not in the scene that they showed, the actor and the character do appear in the film. With yesterday, the actress is removed entirely. And this is an actress that was used in the marketing. Now, I think there's a couple, and Warpenstein says, if I'm such a fan of a particular person that I would go see their stuff, I would probably know what's going on between the trailer and when I buy my ticket. And I think that's a fallacy. I think the fact that people like us who read the trades and who watch shows like this and are up on every casting and stuff like that, we're rare. I think if somebody is a Bruce Willis fan, they hear, "Oh, Bruce Willis is going to be in this movie, North? He's going to be in the movie North." And if he got cut out between the trailer and the announcement and the actual film released, the good majority of people aren't going to know that. And if they're Bruce Willis fans, they're like, "Hey, I'm going to go see this new Bruce Willis movie." Now, they may be disappointed if he's just in it a tiny bit, but if he's in it, they're going to be fine. If he's suddenly not in it, that becomes a big deal. And if she's included in the marketing, then there ought to be some level of attempt by the studio to let people know that, whether it's at the theater when people go to buy tickets, online, that there's a note put on when you go to buy tickets for it, stuff like that. Maybe a new trailer or some way to spread the word. There should be an effort that if you've used this person in the marketing, then you need to make a good faith effort to notify people that change has happened.
So something else, and I went and I looked. Two things I wanted to look at, right? Was her name on the poster? And it wasn't. And what is the legal definition of bait and switch? Her name's not on the poster. Neither is the name of anybody else, but her name is not on the poster. So in their marketing materials, other than the trailer, she wasn't included. Every poster I see, with the exception of one, and I don't know that that's her or not, because I'm not sure I could pick Ana de Armas out of a lineup. I don't know that I could. Like I know her when I see her, but I don't know that I could pick her out.
Yeah.
In all but one posters, it's just that guy walking essentially across Abbey Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all the posters. So she wasn't used in any of their marketing materials.
Right.
And the legal definition of bait and switch, a bait and switch takes place when a seller creates an appealing but ingenuine offer to sell a product or service which the seller does not actually intend to sell. So the seller in this case would be the studio.
Yeah.
They put her in the trailer and they intended to have her in the movie. At the end of the day, they didn't put her in the movie.
Right.
That's me creating an advertisement saying, I'm going to sell my car, and then just choosing not to sell my car. It's not like they intentionally deceived you. It was, they had every intention of using the story, and it just didn't work.
No, because that's not the same. Because if they decided to put out a movie and made advertising for the movie and then never released the movie, that would be the same as you not selling your car. But you putting up pictures of your car, and in it is a 8-ball shifter on the gear shift, and suddenly when you sell it, there's no 8-ball shifter. That is false advertising, and that's the equivalent here. And you said in the marketing stuff, the trailer is marketing material.
Right, but
So
it's the one piece, right? And it's,
but
again,
still,
I was looking at not false advertising, but bait and switch.
right.
False advertising is a different thing entirely, right?
Mhm.
False advertising is saying that it's one thing and it being another.
Right.
False advertising is saying, I'm selling my car, and you show up to buy my car and I hand you a ham sandwich.
Right.
And that's, I think, where they got in trouble here, right? Is that these people presented a very specific case under a very specific law that says that they falsely advertised. Now, this was what I wanted to talk about. I don't watch trailers for a reason. Right? Dan occasionally will have us pull a trailer for a show or a movie or whatever, and I walk out of the room when it's airing. I wait for Dan to start talking before I come back. Because I don't watch trailers. I go to the movies. I go see Wakanda Forever. I take my glasses off, cover my face with my hat, and cover my ears during the trailers. Because I don't want to assume anything about the movie. Right? The mistake that I made very early on was I saw a movie that was supposed to be called Captain America Civil War. So I was prepared to see a movie about Marvel's Civil War, and I showed up for an Iron Man movie. And it was still called Captain America Civil War. That's on me because I made an assumption based on what I knew. Mm-hmm. If I don't consume that, I go into that movie and I just watch it for what it is. And am I still angry that it's called Civil War and it's supposed to be a Captain America movie and it's mostly an Iron Man movie? Probably. But I'm not having the vitriolic reaction that I had. Do we have too much information about the media we consume? Is the question I have. Do we need to know that it took 75 people to write Bills, Bills, Bills for Beyonce? Or should we just accept that it's a pretty catchy tune? Right? How have you not heard the cover of Bills, Bills, Bills by They Might Be Giants?
Haven't heard it.
Oh my God, Dan. Anyway.
Okay, I'm going to give you another example here. And I think this one will hit closer to home. Okay, let's give a hypothetical here. So DC puts out Black Adam. And we learned going into it, it's kind of leaked, it's mentioned, The Rock hints at it, that Henry Cavill is going to show up as Superman at the end. And we know they did that because they wanted people to go see the movie because Henry Cavill's going to be in it.
Right.
They're trying to bump up the numbers. Now, if James Gunn and Peter Safran had gotten in fast enough and went, no, wait a minute, we're not using him, cut the post-credit scene. And people went, but they didn't get word out. And people show up thinking Henry Cavill's going to have a cameo, and it never happens. Now, he's in it for one line for 20 seconds? So cutting that scene, no problem.
Right.
But if they did that, wouldn't they be in trouble? Not only from an anger standpoint, but is that not? And that wasn't official advertising. That was leaks and word of mouth.
Right. But that's the problem. That's what I'm getting at, Dan.
Yeah.
Is we know too much.
No,
20 years ago, you'd go see a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you would know, okay, these are the actors who are in it. And you might see a trailer and have some concept of what the movie is, because how else are you going to know whether you want to see the movie or not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you wouldn't know necessarily, oh, there's going to be a cameo from this actor, or we're going to hear this song from this band, or, they changed directors 3/4 of the way through the movie. And now instead of a movie directed by, John Waters, you got a movie directed by John Williams. You don't know that. You didn't know that stuff 20 years ago. Now we know everything. We know how many post-credit scenes there are. We know how long the post-credit scenes are. We know who the editors were on the post-credit scenes and how they're different from the editors that were in the movie. We know what the special effects studio was on the post-credit scenes and different from the special effects studio that's in the movie. We know that they licensed songs to the soundtrack that never made the soundtrack.
See, now I'm kind of curious about this because you bring that up, and you say we, but who is we at this point? Is it people like you and I and some of the viewers who do this? Or is this like a general, are you thinking that the majority of people, because I don't think the majority of people do.
I think the majority of people knew that there was a post-credit scene that you needed to stay and watch Black Adam for.
I actually question that. I don't know if that's the case. because it's a fallacy that the idea that if it's on the internet, everybody knows about it, and I don't think that's the case.
Let's take this to a different direction, Dan, a little bit of a different place.
Okay.
I have a friend who, he didn't call me today, which is a little shocking to me, who is obsessed with the DC cinematic stuff right now.
Right. You've mentioned it.
Yes. He goes on and he reads the notes from the investor meetings.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't have two nickels to rub together. So why does he need the notes for the investor meetings? Why are those made available to the public? As opposed to 20 years ago, they would have been put in an investor's newsletter and sent to them only. And it would have been up to one of them to give an interview very publicly about what was in that, what the content of that meeting was. Right? Or there would have had to have been a very public leak. Now, because of the invention of the 24-hour news cycle and the advent of websites that do nothing but cover this, right? We find all this stuff out. It used to be, if you wanted to find out what we read on the Hollywood Reporter every day or in Deadline or Variety, you had to subscribe to the newsletter and wait for the magazine to come. So stuff would happen 30 days before you found out about it. And by then the movie's already out, or the show is already going on, or it's too late to think about it. It's already happened. I think the problem is that we as a culture spend way too much time focusing on the information we're given that maybe we're not even supposed to have. And that what it does is it takes away from the enjoyment of the thing. Right? Like I purposefully keep myself from a thing that I enjoy, watching movie trailers and making fun of movie trailers, to ensure that when I go to the movie, I'm going to enjoy the movie, or I'm going to have the most enjoyment I can, even if I don't fully enjoy the movie. Because I won't have done anything to get in my own way.
But how much of that is the nature of the job you have, and how much of that is just normal? How much of that does affect normal people?
Oh, it's like 90-10. Like it's, I recognize that part of this is I live in a very specific bubble.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot of your arguments are from a very personal stance.
Well, I'm the only person living my life.
That we know of, yes.
God, if somebody else is having to live this life, I feel sorry for them. But it's, my arguments have to come from my own personal experience. I can't argue from someone else's experience, having not had that experience.
Right. But we're also getting very far away from the topic.
Well, no, I think we're right there, right? So if, they had marketed Black Adam and said The Rock is in it, put out a trailer with The Rock in it, and then cut The Rock out of the movie, which is what they did here, they would be in breach of the law. But my question was always intended to be, are they only in breach of the law because we as the public are given that information and therefore can hold them to that? Or would they still be in breach of the law if they had said, we're making a movie about a world where everybody forgets the Beatles existed, and just put the movie out?
So you're saying they shouldn't have put a trailer out at all?
I'm saying where is the line drawn? Right? You got to put out a trailer. Okay. But is the line drawn at it's illegal because we know they did it, or is the line drawn at it's illegal because that's what was done?
They put out a trailer. It had a person in it that was not in the movie. That person made people buy tickets. I think it's actually a pretty clear-cut case. which is what the judge pretty much said.
Yeah. But
So,
to go back to the Hulk argument, right?
mhm.
They put Hulk in the trailer doing a thing. Hulk's still in the movie.
Yes.
Okay, great. But if Hulk wasn't in the movie, would that have changed the movie at all? Would that have changed what people were actually buying when they went to see that movie?
If it was somebody who went because they were Mark Ruffalo fans, yes. And that's what this case is.
Right.
But, if, and I think, again, this is a very specific case. So I don't think it's going to permeate over everything, but it's going to make studios stop and think.
Right. And studios are going to have to figure out where that line is.
Right. And I don't think this is a slippery slope, because I do think, like the Hulk example, or the one Jay is putting up in chat saying that a specific song was used in the trailer but didn't appear in the movie. Now, there's no guarantee that song's going to be in the movie. We've had that, but when you show a specific actress in it and that actress never appears, I think that's where the fine line is.
You know what this reminds me of?
Could be anything.
The episode of Friends where Joey has everybody together and he brings his Nana over because he's going to be on Law and Order, and they cut his scene out and he's just in a body bag, but you never see him.
Mm-hmm.
Or the episode of Big Bang Theory where the Penny character gets everybody together because she's going to be on NCIS in a diner scene with Mark Harmon, and then there's just no diner scene. I think if you're an actor or an actress, you have come to terms with the idea of you can go and do work and get paid for work you thought was good, and it can just go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sooner fans come to terms with sometimes actors just aren't good, or plots just aren't well written, or things just don't work out, so they're not going to show up. I think the better off we are as a film going society, because then directors can have the freedom to be like, you know what? I know we paid Julia Roberts a butt ton of money to be in this movie, but do we really need her in Ocean's 11?
I can give you a better example, an example that got a lot of people upset, but I don't know if there was any lawsuits, and that's Executive Decision. It's billed as a Steven Seagal movie, and he's killed in the first 5 minutes.
Well, that's probably for the best.
Absolutely. It is. But Steven Seagal fans probably go in there going, why are we watching a Kurt Russell film? We came to see a Steven Seagal movie. But he does appear, and nothing in the trailer showed him in a way that he doesn't appear in the movie. So
that's happened several times. There have been several movies and things like that where it's
Psycho.
Yeah, Psycho's one of them. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. But again, there was nothing promised by a trailer that didn't appear. Bryan Cranston in Godzilla is another good one. But in this case, there was something promised in the trailer, an actress appearing in the movie that does not appear in the movie. And again, I think the studio could have made a good faith effort to put the word out. And it could have been something as simple as a note when you're buying tickets, whether it's physical or online, that says, by the way, this actress is not appearing in the movie after all.
But then every time you make that decision, right, you have to put a note. You have to spread word that, oh, hey, Carrie Fisher was supposed to be in this Star Wars movie, but she died. She's not going to be in it now.
But see,
you have that way also lies a slippery slope, where now all of a sudden every casting choice and every editing choice has to be decried with an asterisk next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, it's where is the line, right? I think the easiest thing for studios to do is don't put out trailers until the movie's done.
But they put out trailers so far in advance, and nowadays movies are still being worked on until the week before they're released.
Right. And I know that's true, but Like, part of it for me is like I went and saw 4 movies, and I had to watch the Avatar: The Shape of Water, Water World, whatever the heck it's called, trailer before every one of them. And that movie just finally came out.
Yeah.
Well, who knows if that's the same movie James Cameron put out or not? I got no way knowing. I'm not going to see it. The trailer didn't sell me on it. But it's like comic books. There are publishers that promote comic books before the book is written. Right? They solicit books so far ahead that the book isn't even printed yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are publishers who wait until the writing is done, the art is done, everything's done on all the issues, and then they send it to print.
Yeah.
So you have the Gary Frank problem, where you have Countdown Clock. What was the Watchmen book that he did with Jeff Johns?
Yeah.
Doomsday Clock.
Clock.
That was supposed to be a book a month for 18 months or 12 months. And it wound up being a book every once in a while for like 3 years. Or you have what a lot of publishers these days are doing, like Boom Studios, where the book is written and drawn. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to announce it and solicit it.
Yep. That's what we did with the Freeze. All 4 issues were done before the first one came out.
Right. So why not say, okay, this is the deadline to finish editing the movie. The movie's done. We have a cut of the movie. Let's edit the movie to pull out a trailer and then post the trailer and market the movie.
Because then you're handcuffing the creative process. Because you look at somebody like Marvel who do reshoots, and reshoots are a normal part of their thing, and they're making decisions up until the last minute because of all the other movies they're tied to. And, oh, hey, we had an idea on Doctor Strange, or, hey, we had to move this movie, so we got to change this in this movie.
I think, and there are studios that are more apt to do it than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think by and large, I think you have to take Marvel and Disney out of the equation. I think maybe you have to take something like MGM out of the equation. Some of these great big studios where they are doing Universal movies out of this equation. But I think for a studio like who was it who did yesterday? Universal. For most studios, I think the better plan would be to have a movie done, figure out how to market the movie, because then you can market the movie accurately, you can sell the movie, and guess what? If your marketing and your promotion isn't working, you can pull a lever and throw it on your streaming. Right? It gives you a better handle on.
No, see, that doesn't make any sense, because if you're spending the money on marketing and promotion, you've already committed that money. You've already bought that ad spot. You need to make your money back, and you're not going to make it back on your streaming service. You may make some of it. You need to, once you've made that commitment to do advertising, you've already paid that advertising. You need to make that money back.
What I'm saying is, though, if Paramount were to put out a movie, and they waited for the movie to be done, and they did their advertising, and they're going, this is coming in soft. Mm-hmm. We're not where we need to be. Okay, well, we can say, sign up now for Paramount Plus and watch this on the first day it's released. They can add marketing to it and put it on someplace they can control to sort of pull the chute if they've waited.
But every day and date film that has come out has died. That has yet to work.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying it gives them options.
I think you're trying to solve a bigger problem than that's here. We're looking at a finite situation. We're looking at a movie that had an actress that appeared in the trailer that was then cut. And this was a somewhat prominent actress, an up-and-coming actress. Now, if you cut a scene with somebody, that first thing, don't put minor characters in the trailer that might get cut. Just, show your major characters. Don't give away your plot. You're fine. And then if somebody does get cut, or you have an extreme situation like Kevin Spacey gets removed from a movie and replaced, then you put the word out there and you do your due diligence by, making, when the tickets are purchased, that it's notified that that actor is no longer in the film, and you've got your situation covered. You don't have to suddenly change the way all of Hollywood works to fix this. You don't have to stop doing trailers and stop doing the marketing and all of these big grandiose pie in the sky ideas, when all you have to do is do due diligence and make a good faith effort to put the word out there at the time of purchase. And I think you're covered.
Here's what's going to really happen, Dan. Is whenever you make a purchase of anything, ever, for any reason, there's going to be a little disclaimer in fine print at the end that says you can't sue the people who made this thing if it's not the way you wanted it to be.
But they're not suing because it's not the way they wanted it. They're suing because an actress who appeared in the trailer is not in
They're
the
suing because they went to see a movie because an actress was in it and then she wasn't in it. They went to see a movie that wasn't the way they wanted it to be.
No, they're suing because they purchased to see an actress who was then cut, but it was not notified that she was cut. And the trailer had her in it.
The movie wasn't the way they wanted it to be. She wasn't in it. So that's why they're angry. So what's going to happen is these studios are going to come up with a legal language to indemnify themselves. That's going to be an implicit understanding when you click the purchase button on a ticket or hit the button when you go into a theater. That's
I'm debating you right now on the way you just said that the movie wasn't the way they wanted it to be. And that's not the case. The movie was not the way it was advertised.
But there are plenty of movies that aren't the way they're advertised. This particular case with this particular lawsuit, not only was the movie not the way it was advertised, but the people who sued because the movie was not what they expected or wanted.
Is not what they expected. It's not necessarily what they wanted. And it's a fine line about what you're saying. When you say something like the movie was not what they wanted,
you're right.
It's like you suing because
I should have said what they expected.
Yes.
Yes.
So
that's correct. I'm sorry.
Words definitely matter. So
yes.
All right. We should probably go ahead and take another break.
It's true.
And then we'll come back and we'll do one more topic at least. So
sounds good.
We'll be right back.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there. Hi there. Hello there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Compa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Gang Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
Hello, my name is Afrim Jambalai, writer and creator of The Legend of the Night Owl. You are watching The Experience.
right, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We are running long today because Miss Jen and the crew at Space Cadets have no power. Their power is out. I'm sure they have lots of power. Jen is a very powerful person in the industry. So let me just.
They at the very least have rings of power.
Yes, there you go.
I hate myself for making that joke.
I got one other topic I wanted to cover. And this is more of something that I noticed, and I don't know if this is one you want to get too much in on. But we're seeing James Gunn and DC is doing all their stuff, and we're getting news constantly, and it's, oh, this person is out. Oh no, they're not out. Oh, this person's out. No, they're out. James, and Gunn is coming out like daily and having to refute a lot of these rumors and stuff. But Zachary Levi came out and said that he's not getting replaced as Shazam. Now, that's not saying that they're going to use Shazam, but he's saying he's not getting replaced. The Rock came out and basically said that Black Adam is not going to be part of the first chapter, but they're still talking. So again, not being replaced. And the only person we've heard is being replaced is Henry Cavill. So, but I noticed of the movies coming up and the ones that we're not hearing things are getting replaced, I noticed a common thread that on Blue Beetle, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, they all have one person in common. An executive producer who is producing all three of those movies. Peter Safran, who is the other guy making all these decisions about who's staying and who's going in the DC universe. So I'm just kind of curious if you guys think it's kind of funny or a little odd that the movies that Peter Safran isn't an executive producer on are the ones that don't seem to be moving forward or getting sequels, and the others seem to be doing fine.
I don't find it that odd.
No?
No.
But do you think it's a coincidence?
Also, no. I read a story, and I don't know how true it was because no one would confirm or deny. It's one of those that they had gone to what's his nuts who made the Batman,
Matt Reeves.
Yes, and begged him to run the studio before they hired James Gunn, which would have been a huge, colossal mistake in my opinion.
Agreed.
That said, I think what you have happen is you have someone coming in who had an idea, pitched that idea. He's an executive producer. He pitched the idea of the movies he wanted to produce to DC. Said these are the movies that my studio wants to make, and make them for DC. And DC was like, yeah, it makes sense to me. Let's make it. So they already have an idea. Now they've been hired to run the thing, and they already have an idea. If I got hired tomorrow to go and run the local CBS station, I would already have an idea of what they could be doing and how they should be doing it before I ever applied for the job. So to have the things that he's producing be the things that are continuing, that's not entirely true. Because he's not producing the Harley Quinn animated series that's still happening.
No.
He's not producing everything, but he is producing. Huh?
We don't know if that's going to continue after the next season.
Right. He's not producing everything, but he's producing the big building blocks. So is it, I have this idea, this is what I think we should do. Hey, James Gunn, what do you think of this idea? Do you think we should do it? James Gunn goes, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's pitch it to DC. And DC's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Or, and this is the way the internet will work. It's more nefarious that, oh, well, he's keeping the movies that he made because that makes him the most money or whatever. It could be. Don't get me wrong. Could be. But I don't think it is. I think he had a vision, but he's a money guy. He's a business guy. He's not a write a script, direct a movie guy like James Gunn.
Right.
Or like Kevin Feige.
Right. Actually, they went to Peter Safran. They offered him the job, and he insisted on having a creative partner.
Right.
He went to James Gunn.
You need a make a movie guy.
Yeah.
The same way here at the Experience, I need a dude with golden pipes and JD because I hate the sound of my own voice. Peter Safran recognized where his shortcomings may have been and was like, I need a guy. So I think the idea of Peter Safran's movies sticking around is just a handshake agreement on the ideas that he had, right? It's they're going, we liked your ideas. Go for it. You want to run the whole thing? It seems like you have some good ideas. Why don't you try?
Though I do also notice that most of the Marvel or most of the DC movies have Superman cameos, but the ones that appear to be moving forward still and not getting recast are the ones where Henry Cavill's face don't appear.
I have my crazy theory that I kind of put out there last week.
What was that?
The whole they're going to do a younger Superman movie and age him up, and at the end, the post-credit scene will be Henry Cavill.
Right.
I'm softening on that theory.
Gee, what a surprise.
Well, I still think it's a good idea. But I'm more in the realm of where John Spilios is over here, where it's they get rid of all the Zack Snyder people. I think that my initial statement of they need to find a way to run as fast as they can away from the Snyder Cut, away from Zack Snyder's Justice League, is really a cornerstone of the James Gunn plan. To put it behind them, to stop letting the fans hold that over their heads, and instead reset the universe in a small way, not a full reboot, but a small universe reset. Which is why you can keep some of the actors. But if you get rid of the tent poles, the tarp you have to go around it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. But if they keep Jason Momoa, aren't they pretty much keeping the connection to the Snyderverse?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it's, you have your three tentpole characters: Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. Okay, yes. if you're building a tent and you take away the three main tent poles, all you have is a tarp with some stuff in it.
Yes.
Well, you're not getting rid of all the pieces; you're just getting rid of parts of it. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to recast those three parts, and it'll come back stronger than ever. And you're right. If Jason Momoa is Lobo, which I think is a terrible I think Jason Momoa is a great Lobo, but I think having Jason Momoa to have been Aquaman and then be like, actually, he's Lobo now, bad idea.
Yeah. No, I think if he stays, he's staying as Aquaman.
Right.
I do, and I throw this out there because there's one name that keeps popping up, and it's not so much rumor, it's that it's the name people want, and we know how fan casting works. But there's a name coming out that people all seem to want as Superman, and I got to admit, the guy's got the look, and his name is David Cornsweet.
That's an unfortunate last name.
It is Cornswet. Maybe he pronounces it different. But you look at this guy, he's 6'4". He's got the jaw, the face, and he's also a really good actor. If you put on about 20 pounds, he could totally be Superman, right?
Wow.
You see it, don't you?
If I was casting Superman, this is the guy I would cast as Superman.
Exactly.
Holy crap. You know who I thought would play you know who I thought would be really good?
Nicolas Cage?
No. Well, I loved the idea. I don't know if it was you or somebody else who said they were going to do a Death of Superman. And that they were going to go into that funeral for a friend thing.
Yeah.
I thought Timothy Chalamet as the Superboy from that era with the curly hair and the round sunglasses and the leather coat.
Yeah.
The jean jacket would be so good. But man, this guys in the comments, it's CORENSWET. I mean, he really does look the part. He would need to bulk up a little bit, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing a young Superman story, he wouldn't need to bulk up all that much.
Right. And he's 29 years old. He's the same age now that Henry Cavill was when he became Superman.
Here's the other problem I have, Dan. Let me run this one at you.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to do a young Superman story, should they not go younger?
I don't think they necessarily want. They're not going to go where he doesn't know anybody. He's already met Lois. He's already met Perry. But what they want to do is basically they're doing a 10-year plan, so they don't want to start with a 40-year-old Superman.
Right. No, I mean actor age, not Superman age, actor age. Do you not want an actor who's closer to 20 or 22, a few years younger? Because the difference between 30 and 40 in the ways people look can sometimes be hugely more different than the age between 20 and 30.
No, I think they want somebody between 30 and 40 because that's the range you want. It's the same range Marvel's been using. You want to get them at 28, 29, 30 and move in because you want them to be taken seriously as adults. When you get these younger actors, sometimes like Timothy Chalamet would not come across as a serious Superman. Superboy, like you said, but Timothy Chalamet is in his early 20s.
Right, but Timothy Chalamet playing Superman right off the farm?
Right, but that's not the story they're going to do.
That we don't know what story they're going to do.
James Gunn has said that this is a Superman who's in Metropolis his earlier days, but he's already met Lois. He's already met Perry.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, and that's the thing. I stay off Twitter. I don't go on freaking Twitter. I hate Twitter. I wish Twitter would burn to the ground. And we're alive on Twitter right now.
Well, Elon's trying to make that happen.
I understand. I don't follow this stuff. I try to stay away from it. When you're going to have a topic on the air, I'll go and read the article.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll read what they have on Hollywood Reporter or whatever. But I'm not looking at James Gunn's tweets every day because I want James Gunn to go and make a stupid movie instead of sending a bunch of tweets to pacify a bunch of grumpy, angry man children.
But you realize now every time James Gunn makes a tweet, the Hollywood Reporter makes an article.
I understand that, but I read the article from the Hollywood Reporter once a week. I'll go on there tomorrow afternoon and look at everything that's happened since last Friday.
Yeah. But if you're going to do the arguments and discussions about this stuff, you kind of need to know what's been said by the people making the films and stuff. And
right. That's what I rely on you for, Dan.
Yeah. So
I have the Hollywood Wickline, not the Hollywood Reporter. But if that's the case, then I think that this corn sweat dude who, by the way, if there's listen, Hollywood, if you're going to use this guy, he needs his little kid companion, his friend has to be the corn kid from TikTok.
It's corn.
Like, if you don't even do that, what are you even doing?
I personally like that Gunn is active on Twitter because there are so many websites out there. They're just making stuff up and coming up with these rumors and, scoops and stuff. And he comes out and goes,
right.
I
like that. I like that, but I don't think it's good for anyone's mental health.
Mm.
In fact, I know I have several people in my life for whom it is bad for their mental health. And So for that reason alone, I dislike it. I love the fact that he does set the record straight and that Dan can go on there and see, okay, this is what he said, and bring us actual factual information.
Mm-hmm.
So that when Dan and I do have these debates and we do speculate a little bit, Dan has the actual facts to base our argument in. But I can't get past the negative impact that it's having on people.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think in a lot of ways, I think social media has been a negative thing. The ability for everybody to have their 15 minutes of fame. It's like,
I will say this though, James Gunn and I are friends on Mastodon,
mm-hmm.
but I really think it's just because we're the only two people left. So,
yep, that one came and went, didn't it?
Yep.
Yep. Now I'm hearing about something called Post.
Yeah, that's a new thing, and rumor has it that Q1 is going to see the launch of Blue Sky.
Yeah, and there was Hive for about a minute.
Hive's back.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the thing I like about Hive is that it seems to have become the bastion of social media for creatives. I'm not seeing a lot of randos on there. I'm seeing mostly creatives.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, do you remember when DeviantArt used to be good?
Mm-hmm.
Hive is kind of turning into that.
Yep. So.
Miss Jen texted me. They just had a flicker, so at least they're working on it.
Okay. So should we call it? Should we do another break and come up with one more topic and try to take it to the hour?
Why don't we try and take it to an hour? And here's the topic when we get back, Dan.
All right.
You ready?
Sure.
Top 3 Christmas movies.
All right. We'll be right back.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, well, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show. Programming on the EXP is made possible by viewers like you, or your local comic shop, or that Kickstarter you backed, or the publisher you like, or comic industry professionals who want to share a message with the world. Really, anyone who wants to advertise with us can. If you're interested in seeing a product you know and love, or are creating, or are publishing, or are involved with, advertised here on The Experience, and having your message shared with our viewers, please reach out by scanning the QR code below or visiting our website and using the contact form.
I'm Al Simpson. I do a comic called Vampires in New Jersey, and you're watching me on The Experience.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show, the extended edition. Today we are talking about whatever comes to mind for Kyle and
I have another name for the chat.
What's that?
To replace Gal Gadot. Her name is Lauren Lavera, Lavera. Most notably from the Terrifier series of movies. But she already exists in the DC universe, as she was Miss Lynn in the Catwoman Retribution short. She was also a character called Sierra in one episode of Iron Fist.
Okay. Maybe.
Like, I think she could pull it off.
That's possible.
Yeah. But I'm trying to start a rumor, Dan. I'm trying to start a rumor.
I don't want to start any blasphemous rumors.
All right, so we got about. We're gonna take it to the top of the hour. I told him, I texted Miss Jen and let her know that's how long we were gonna go. So it is our last episode before Christmas.
Right.
If you had to pick, and it's today's the 22nd, so it's 3 days to Christmas. So that's 3 nights of movie watching, including Christmas. What 3 movies would you watch over the next 3 nights to get yourself in the Christmas spirit, Dan?
Get in the Christmas spirit. Okay.
So, or to get yourself in the spirit of wanting to be around your friends and family and not commit any kind of Grinchy acts.
There's only one movie that makes that happen. I've been using it for that exact reason for many years. And that is Bill Murray in Scrooged.
Okay. So I watched Scrooged a couple weeks ago with my dad. How much of that script was more cocaine?
That I don't care.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
But my God.
Yeah.
At some point, the budget on that funded the Noriega cartel.
Probably. I mean, David Johansen is in it that's
Dave. Okay, quick trivia. David Johansen's other name.
Buster Poindexter.
Yes.
Feeling hot.
Well, crap. I was going to say, what other great movie is David Johansen in with Bill Murray that's one of my Christmas movies? It's a Netflix original.
Don't know.
A Very Murray Christmas. David Johansen with Rashida Jones, I think. I haven't watched it this year. Sing Fairy Tale of New York at the end of that movie. And it's David Johansen. It was Christmas Eve. Like, in all the growly, dude has smoked too many and drank too much whiskey. That is David Johansen's voice.
Yeah.
And then it's just Rashida Jones, who you forget can really sing.
Yes.
People don't remember that about Ann Perkins, but she can really sing. She is that. And I have a quote from her dad tattooed on my forearm, so it's weird. Anyway, so one of mine is A Very Murray Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, Is That You, Santa Claus is a great one.
Is that you, Santa Claus?
I prefer the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy version of Is That You, Santa Claus.
That is a very good.
Buster Poindexter, also a good one.
Yes.
Jeff Wedding's not here. Jeff has been commenting and posting and liking every day for 24 to 22 days now. My 25 Days of Better Christmas Music. Jeff Wedding and I have been on the same page. So I love Christmas music. But I like odd Christmas music.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and the New York Dolls. He was in the New York Dolls, yes.
Did you get a chance to hear the new song from the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special?
I've watched the Guardians Christmas special 3 times now, Dan.
Isn't that song great?
I love it. I love the old 97s.
Yeah.
Brett Miller's a genius. I don't know what Christmas is, but Christmas time is here.
Yep.
Great. I have a problem with that, but that's my second Christmas movie that's going to get me in the spirit this year. Is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Actually, if it was a full-fledged movie, it would be in my top 3. It would knock Black Adam out of the top 3.
It was very good. I will give you.
It was Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
So Kevin Bacon. I've complained twice now about James Gunn blowing up my spot on some of these artists in some of these songs that, like, I can't believe that, like, they're getting radio play and stuff now that they never have before. And it's because of the Guardians Christmas special. Mm-hmm. And it's freaking great.
Yeah.
My third movie is I have one television show, but I'll do my movie first. Third movie is, of course, The Christmas Story. A Christmas Story with the Peter Billingsley and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's now paired. It's now a 2-movie double feature with A Christmas Story Christmas, which is way better than it has any right to be. That movie should suck, and it doesn't.
But by the way, Ed, I completely agree that the Marvel holiday specials or the Marvel specials have been freaking brilliant.
Yes.
Both Werewolf by Night and Guardians Holiday.
I wasn't over the moon with Werewolf by Night like I was with Guardians Christmas special, but very, very, very strong. And then the one TV show is The Bells of Fraggle Rock.
Nice. I'm not a big Christmas movie guy. Scrooged is the one, because I've never been big on Christmas. I get drug into it by Lisa, and she makes Christmas cool because she gets so excited. I mean, she has texted me. She's like, "Oh my God, my car smells like pies. It's awesome." And it's like that excitement is what gets me going for Christmas, because on its own, I'm not, Christmas isn't that big for me. But her excitement's what gets me going. But my second one is a Christmas movie from just a couple years ago that her and I watched. The Christmas Chronicle with Kurt Russell as Santa. And I enjoyed that movie far, far more than I expected to.
I like to call that movie a Snake Plissken's Christmas.
Snake Plissken Christmas. That's a good title for it. I do enjoy that. I think they did a sequel, but I'm not sure.
They did a couple. Like they did like 3 or 4.
I haven't seen them. I just saw the original, and I felt I'm good.
Well, it was like they did the original, and then like Netflix or somebody was like, "Hey, can we do some like half-an-hour addendums?"
Now, my honorable mention is I really enjoyed Hawkeye last year, and that has Christmas through the whole thing. And I probably will rewatch it this weekend at some point.
Every time I play Marvel Snap, I have Kate Bishop Hawkeye. Under my breath, I go, Kate Bishop. Emmett Otter is number 4 on my list. John Spilios. When I worked at iHeartMedia, we would start planning Christmas in August because we had a station that played Christmas music 24/7 starting November 1st. So we would start planning Christmas music. And so by Christmas, we were all in terrible moods. It's part of the reason that I still to this day dislike Christmas music.
Yeah.
And dislike the holiday, because it was by the time you got to the holiday, you had been zapped of any Christmas spirit you had. But the one year we decided that it would have been today. It would have been our last day before Christmas. We were going to have Panera Bread catered in and have lunch as a staff. And we're like, well, what should we do during that lunch? Because otherwise we'll just sit and talk about work. And so I put Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas on and made a bunch of adults who are cynical radio people watch Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house when they sang There Ain't No Hole in the Wash Tub.
Nice. All right. My third Christmas movie is so out far left field and not your normal Christmas movie. It comes from, and I only saw this because my friends worked on it. This is from Adam Marcus, the director of Jason Goes to Hell, and he and his wife wrote Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. This is called Secret Santa, And it's about a family that goes to the secluded cabin type area. You know, there's a few cabins up there to do their Christmas every year. The parents are divorced. The dad runs a chemical company. There's nothing, I mean, but they put all that stuff aside and try to have a decent Christmas. Well, one of the daughters brings a weaponized truth serum and puts it in the punch. And the problem is that it has side effects like completely stopping inhibitions. So all of the anger, all of the family drama come out and they start murdering each other. And it is somewhere between one of the funniest and one of the goriest over-the-top horror movies I've ever seen in my life. I watched it for the first time at a comic convention. It was being shown, and my jaw dropped through the whole thing. And if you get a chance to see this movie and you pick up the DVD copy or Blu-ray copy, my quote from back when I was working at Bleeding Cool is on the front cover, and it just says, "Secret Santa is effing brilliant." And
you had Adam Marcus on last year, didn't you?
I did. Adam is awesome.
Maybe we'll rerun that interview on Christmas.
I think that's a good idea. Adam is a really great guy. He does. He teaches acting out here. He also does movies and stuff regularly. What year is that, Dan? Is that movie from?
Yeah, the Secret Santa movie. What year is that? Because there's like 4 different Secret Santa movies.
It's in the last couple of years. Let me check real quick. Trying to type around the headset. 2018.
Yeah, I have it. 2018.
Yeah, stars Deborah Sullivan, who's Adam's wife. Just a lot of great people. This is the same group that I do the table reads with, where we take old unpublished superhero scripts and we do these table reads. And I've been meaning to reach out to Adam, going, we need to get a copy of the Batgirl script.
So Dan, on Google,
yeah,
it has 1 review of 1 star. And if that's not a good enough reason to watch it,
yep,
then like a movie that has 1 review and it's only of 1, that means like people didn't hate this movie so much they went to trash its ratings, but they didn't love it so much that they blew up its ratings. One guy was like, I have to go tell Google.
The opening credits are hilarious. The family coming together. Curtis Fortier plays the racist uncle. And Drew, I think it's Drew Lynch, I think his name is a comedian who he's known for his stutter. He's a stutterer, but he's a stand-up comedian. He plays the nephew. And the two of them interacting in the first few minutes will have you busting up. And then you'll forget that it's a horror movie. And then the horror starts. And like I said, it's so over the top, like Army of Darkness, over the top gore, that it's just an amazing movie. I love it.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Tucker and Dale, where it had that comedy horror thing going for it. Like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fake blood.
Yeah. By the way, there is some nudity in it, and gore, so probably not to watch with the kids.
Maybe don't show your children, right?
Yeah. Or do.
If you want to be responsible for that therapy bill.
Yep. Lisa's son, Braden, his first words were Michael Myers.
Showed him too much Austin Power, didn't you, Dan?
No, the other Michael Myers.
I know.
There's real quick. There's a great story about him when he was first starting to talk. He kept saying "dibby Dobson," and Lisa was spending a lot of time trying to figure out what the hell this kid was saying. And she was like, "It's like the truck driving school or something," because she couldn't figure it out. And then she saw a commercial. And it's like DVD box set. What he was saying was DVD box set.
I love this kid.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. I got to have him on one of these days.
We really do. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dan, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry
I'm
Christmas.
sure we'll wind up talking tomorrow, but we won't be on the air to say Merry Christmas to each other in front of everybody.
Right.
So, Merry Christmas to you. And, Merry Christmas to everybody who's here. I will be back tomorrow on Nick's Original Art Show, so I can say it again. But Merry Christmas to everybody here. Or Happy Holidays, or whatever holiday it is you celebrate. Celebrate it in a big way.
Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus, whatever. Whatever is you, have a great time this holiday. John, Ed, all of you guys, love having you around. We will be here next week, but have a great holiday. Jay, Jenna, all you guys, take care.
Dan, let me put an idea on you for Tuesday, July 3rd or January 3rd.
What's that?
Our Festivus episode. We'll have an airing of the grievances.
Dude, that's your show, Hot Takes.
Right, but like you and I can have an airing of the grievances with Hollywood or with the Marvel movies or whatever.
Yeah. By the way, everybody calls the show Hot Cakes now.
I'm good with it. I will. You think I won't change the opener? You're kidding yourself.
All right, guys, take care. We'll see y'all soon.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.